everyone. I'm Pooja. I'm VP of GenAI projects and overall all of our geo business operations here at Haptik. And I'm here today to talk to you about kind of how Haptik is working with enterprises on a lot of their GenAI initiatives, right? How we are helping enterprises use GenAI to solve some of their largest challenges or meet their most critical strategic goals. So as you can see all over our slides and maybe even in the title slide, um, basically a lot of our GenAI work today is structured around this concept called AI agents, right? Um, so that's what I'll be going into in detail, but a little before that, just some background on Haptik, right? We've been around for 10 plus years now. We have 500 plus enterprise customers, 200, 20,000 plus SMB customers. We have 15 billion interactions we've processed. And, on the AI side, as I said, we're now really going to market with this concept called AI agents, right? So what are AI agents? AI agents are basically custom AI solutions tailored towards a brand's specific needs, right? So back in the day when an enterprise wants to buy a SaaS product, right, how it would work is that there is a package out of the box solution, right? And as an enterprise, you're going to go buy it. It will have a certain number of features. Whether you use all features or not, you're going to have to buy that subscription and kind of use whatever percentage of that you want to. But with AI agents, that is changing. Whereas a brand, you can come and give your very specific need, right? And an agent will be created with a customized function to do exactly what your brand needs. So there's no redundancy there. There's no using software that can do a bunch of things, but not fully even do what you want, and you're just trying to force your requirements into an already built SaaS product, right? So it's super custom and it builds on top of a base model. So it's also not, everything is not created from scratch. There are base technologies, and then we are building your custom requirements on top via an agent. A typical way an agent works is you give your input data. So that is what a company will give, right? Their own proprietary input data. They will also give the goal, right? What they want to achieve through this solution. And then that is where we'll build the agent out for you. That's where Haptik comes in, how to train the agent, how to prompt it, what to do with that data, and then give you your output results. Right? Some examples of AI agent just to help you understand, right? A brand could come to us and say that, we want an image generation agent that takes our customer data and creates personalized campaigns, right? Including the content of the strategy of the campaign, the target user base, the content, including images, right? So that's an example of an AI agent where you come and tell us exactly what you want, which is a personalized campaign. You give us your data, and then we create the agent for you. So let me give you some examples of AI agents. Actually, before that, so this is architecturally how it works. The first layer is actually just the data layer, right? This is what the brand will provide. So, of course, a lot of unstructured data that you may have in terms of PDFs, content on your websites, manuals you may have, right? Then, of course, transaction or communication related data. So you have call logs, images, transcripts, payment related data, app level data, right? So if you are a digital native company, you have an app where your users come and interact with your brand. You will have a lot of analytics and data around which page they spend, what kind of time on, what are they clicking, etc. You would have ad level data as to what kind of ads they're usually clicking on. All of that falls into this second category. And then, of course, lastly, you have business context, right? So a lot of businesses have SOPs, they have workflows, they have brand guidelines, etc. So all of this data counts as unstructured data and is valid inputs that you can give us depending on the problem statement that you're trying to solve. And we as a vendor also help you identify what is the data, right? So you can literally just come to us with a problem statement. This is what we want to solve, and we'll help define, okay, in order to solve this, we need this data from you, right? The second piece of the layer is basically the Gen AI engine, which is where Haptik comes in. So of course, we use a lot of existing models. We're not building our own models, but the part that Haptik does is the LLM ops part on the right? How do you use these models to prompt them correctly, to fine tune them, the deployment, right? Making sure you're optimizing for the infrastructure use, cost optimization, all of that is the right side layer where Haptik comes in. And we build, of course, on top of OpenAI and a lot of open source models. A lot of the models you see here are models we've already built on top of and seen good success. So we do have pretty proven experience working with a lot of these open source models. And finally, the AI agents. This is the part that Haptik builds for you. I have over here a few examples of agents we have built, like an image generation agent, like the one I was telling you on the previous slide, where you can come to us and say, okay, I want a personalized campaign. So you are creating images for each user for the campaign, which he or she is more likely to click on, depending on his previous transaction history. Then there's an insights agent, which for instance can take as an input, take in a lot of your call transcripts, chat transcripts, and then give you all sorts of insights on top of that data, right? Agent level insights, operational insights, insights on which are cases where your SOP is actually serving you and which are cases where your SOP probably needs some tweaking. It can also give you insights on just where your product is serving the user and where it's failing. It can also give you insights on things like tagging, right? Today, I think if you talk to anyone in the call center industry, tagging of call records and even chats is a huge problem, right? Because today it's manual, it's dependent on human ability to classify conversations, and then a lot of downstream analytics is done on top of this tagging. So can you use GenAI to actually automate tagging and analytics for call records is in itself a huge use case that comes under our insights agent. So again, the input here would be of course your call records and chat transcripts, but the goal can be a whole bunch of things that you as a business define for us, like basically what is the insight you're looking for can be a lot of things. Similarly, AI powered search, recommendation agent, and then a bunch of custom agents. I'm actually not going to go into detail of all of this right now because I have slides for each of them coming up, so we'll just look at them there. So yeah, actually let's go right into the insights agent that I was just telling you all about, right? So this is the architecture for it. As I said, we take a bunch of your transcripts, your call recordings, your SOPs, right? And then we train an agent on top of that to give you a bunch of insights. Examples of insights could be FRT, right? So you can tell us, okay, tell me typically what is the first response time that our brand has. And of course, this would change based on use cases, right? So if you are let's say a retail customer, perhaps responding to delayed delivery takes you longer because maybe there's a bunch of back-end things you need to check, you need to coordinate with probably a third-party vendor. But probably responding to this is a damaged product takes you less time because you immediately probably refund people below a certain threshold, as an example. So just looking at what's going on in your business through FRT is something we can do for you. Sentiment analysis is again a use case. Sentiment analysis is again a use case that a lot of people are coming back for. Churn prediction, right? Average handling time. What are topics of escalation? What are cases where user usually abandons the conversation because they're very agitated? What are cases where we completely don't end up resolving the issue? We've had one brand come to us, it was such an interesting use case, where they said, you know what, we're going to give you our SOPs. We actually want you to tell us in which cases the agent followed the SOP, but the customer was still unhappy. Because they actually want to see that after doing everything correctly, if we still have unhappy customers, what can we do there? So that's what they're solving for. So in that sense, an insights agent is completely customizable. The only common underlying piece over there is our ability to understand call records and transcript is like a repeatable technology that we've built now. And then you come and tell us exactly what insight you want, and that particular piece with your data is something that we build custom on top of our transcript interpretation engine. The next product, and this is like closer to home for us in terms of it is a chat first interface, is our search and recommendation agent. This is something that we actually built for Tira and it is live in production. It's essentially something that a solution that trains on top of a bunch of data sets. One is of course your catalog, which is your personal data. The second, it actually trains on domain knowledge, right, which is in this case beauty. So when it comes to beauty, what are typical topics that people are talking about? And do note, this is a advisor, right? It's a buying guidance. So it's not just something that's selling products, but you can also come and ask it things like, hi, I have oily skin, so what's the right skincare routine for me? And the answer doesn't necessarily involve products. It could just be beauty related conversation, and hence the second data set that was fed into it was just a lot of beauty how-tos and content which were very specific to the brand. We didn't pick up public knowledge, but actually Tia specifically gave us content that is a voice of their brand, right? And then of course lastly, the third category is your general knowledge, right? Like what does oily skin even mean, right? And I think we've all experienced that with ChatGPT. It's pretty well trained on generic concepts, right, that are true no matter what. So those were kind of the three things that it trained on. And of course then it has a bunch of features, like it's contextual, right? So if you're already talking to it about, I'm going to the Maldives, so what is the right products to take there? And for turns later, if you're still talking to it about something, it will retain context that this whole conversation is in the context of going to Maldives. So it has context retention, it has product recommendations. It also, if it is a bot, let's say on your home page versus on a PDP page, it also has context of where within your app journey is the user right now, and accordingly it can tailor the responses. And it's also smart in the sense that if you feed it your catalog, it doesn't just respond basis attributes in the catalog. So for instance, if you're buying a shampoo, you may ask it what are the ingredients, or is this sulfate free, and it's going to be able to answer that even though the catalog doesn't actually tell you ingredients. Why? Because the image has the ingredients on it, so it actually reads from the image and will answer the ingredient question there. So it's not only limited to attributes present in the catalog, but it also reads from images, it reads from reviews if you fed it the review level data for each product. So that's the recommendation agent that we've built there. Just some more screenshots here in terms of, okay, you're trying to, and see how it is extremely conversational. So you can have long sentences where you're like, okay, I'm 45-year-old lady, I'm going for a party, I'm wearing a silver dress, I'm looking for makeup that suits my skin complexion and dark. So she's mentioned her complexion, and it's an evening event. So lots of data points. It will take it all. It's very strong on its NLP. It understands all of it, and then it recommends products. It will also ask for follow-up questions. And also, if you see the next one, she said, is it okay to put makeup on my baby? And this time it didn't recommend products, it just gave advice, because that was the nature of the question. So it's not just a product recommendation, but a true advisor. Um, Another adaptation of the same technology is, of course, in previous slides, it was available as a chat bot, but you can put the same technology behind a search bar itself, right? Because we have seen the volume of usage ends up being much more on search bar, right? Versus a user coming to a chat bot and asking. Search is usually where they go anyway to ask a lot of these questions. So you might as well deploy this technology behind a search bar. So traditional search again is very product driven. You know exactly what you want and you go get it. But this is for the users that don't know what they want and have a longer query. So it's interesting because one of the retail clients we are working with actually had once done a survey of all their customers and realized that customers mainly fall in one of three buckets. One is they know exactly what they want and they come to your search bar and search for their product, right? Those customers are probably not what we're solving for through this solution. The second is the one who overall know they want something, maybe for this occasion, but don't know exactly what they want. And of course, the third one is the one they don't even know they want it. So this solution is for the second bucket, who have an intent to buy but don't know what they're looking for. The third one, who don't even know they need it, you probably need to target through different marketing solutions, which falls, in a different solution. But the ones who don't know, you can do things like, I'm looking for electric sedans in gray or black, but you don't have a particular brand preference right now. You're not looking at one particular car. This is a good solution for those. Um, and eventually it will use a bunch of technology on the back end and actually recommend you specific products. And also these are multilingual, so it can also respond in different languages. um, Finally, we have this thing called a Q&A agent. right? Which is basically probably the simplest of all. It takes in a bunch of unstructured content that you have, right? All brands have a lot of content sitting across PDF files, their own website, SOP documents, you name it, right? It literally takes all of this unstructured content and can start answering queries on top of it, right? So if you're a brand that has a bunch of your plans and offerings, subscription plans on your website, we can consume your website and just create a chat interface where users can come and start asking, tell us what your product offerings are, what do you all do, what do you all stand for. I'm sure most brands today have a website where these answers are there, so with very minimal effort we can start getting this done for you. So that's just a Q&A agent. um, and then there's image generation, which basically it's a gen AI driven image generation agent which creates PDP pages, right? So a lot of brands actually spend a lot of time creating these PDP pages, right? It's manual, it's time consuming, it's expensive because they're going to use a bunch of tools to do it, or they're going to like employ actual studios and photographers to get these PDP pages created for them. In this case, we can do that using GenAI, where you give us certain standard templates, of course, and then, of course, what kind of content you want, and we create like an image generation AI agent for you that can do that very seamlessly. Um, and as part of image generation, by the way, you can give a bunch of instructions. Of course, you give the templates, you give what type of images you want, but you can also give inputs on things like what kind of color tonality, what kind of brand messaging, what does your brand stand for, right? What the core DNA of the brand is, and that also would play into the image generation piece, right? What kind of colors ultimately are used, etc. What kind of language is used in the overall PDP is also something that you can give input into. Um, then there's catalog enhancement. So similar to what I was telling earlier, um, within catalog enhancement, a lot of brands have catalogs today that have a lot of missing fields. It's cumbersome to make catalog entries, right? And I think a lot of digital native players here would relate that your ability to service your customer on the front end is directly proportional to the quality of your catalog at the end of the day. So we have this module that basically does a bunch of AI driven checks on top of your catalog. So one is, of course, checking the category. So as you can see over here, this is a baby gram, and the AI actually did that and said that the category should be, so first it called out that it's the wrong category, and after that it actually gave a suggestion for the correct category. So the person who uploaded this product had actually put the category as top best deals, because they wanted to optimize for this product showing up in the search results, and the most searched category usually is deals. So the person who uploaded it put the category as deals in order to optimize the likelihood that it will show up in a search result. But deals is actually obviously not the right category. The right category is within baby cares, strollers, and prams. So it called that out and also gave the correct category, and not just at one level but two levels: baby care and within baby care, strollers. So in this case, this particular customer had given us 4 levels of categories, L1 to L4, and we were able to detect a bug even at an L4 level. That's how granularly it can call out and then give the right suggestion all the way from L1 to L4. Then the other piece within catalog enhancement is, image and product detail mismatch. So oftentimes, again, there is an image of a product and then there is a title or a description. Again, people put a lot of keywords in the title and the description that probably don't have a lot to do with the image. Oftentimes, they're even incorrect, just factually incorrect, again, to optimize for search results. So here you can see an example where it says hot mugs, Miski's mug. So it's basically calling itself a mug, but it's actually a backpack. So that's where it's called out that it's an image mismatch, where the description details a personalized ceramic mug, whereas the actual image shows a backpack. And by the way, these results are based on real catalog data along with images that a retail customer had fed us, and we ran this model on top, and these were the outputs. Um, The other thing within catalog enhancement is missing data. So what I was saying earlier, a lot of catalog entries do not have all the fields that it requires. For example, a shampoo product probably doesn't have ingredients, but when a user is actually buying a shampoo, that's a very core attribute that they actually check for. So we are able to extract a lot of missing data from images, from review data, etc. In this case, you can see that there's an image of the blanket, and then there is a title, but there is no other kind of input data that's provided, and the output from the model is where it basically came up with this entire prompt and description where wrap your little one in a cozy blanket, and what it can do basically for you, so it's more likely to sell, right? So it can come up with product descriptions, it can come up with attributes of your product that it then goes and populates into your catalog, so even other teams can use that, the other teams that use catalog. Offensive data, offensive data and compliance check was part of this module that we created, where they had some 40 or 50 checks that they wanted to do before a product gets uploaded in their catalog, right? For instance, you cannot have prescription products being sold, so there's a particular image that will tell you, a particular logo that will tell you this is prescription. You cannot have images that have some kind of sexual content, or in this case they also had a rule where they didn't want religious symbols. So there were some 40-50 checks they had told us, and we created an image recognition module that's almost at 98% accuracy that can actually read this and flag if something is not meeting the check. So for example, in this case, this is a phone cover with an agarbatti, so it called out that okay, this is a religious symbol, so that's not allowed. um, and Yeah, so these are kind of the results we've been able to just get for the client with this, where before this solution, they actually had an entire manual team that used to do this. It used to take them 2 to 3 weeks, and now that time has come down to 1 day using these modules. And also the accuracy, right? Because a manual team, no matter how many people you staff up, cannot check everything. So they used to do random sampling, and in this case, all 100% of entries get audited using the AI model. And also, the manual team has now been completed. They used to have a manual team of 20 people, and now there's 2 people just ensuring kind of keeping, doing like a secondary check on the output of the model. But most of the work is actually done by the AI model. And finally, what stops brands like many that you've heard from this morning in just working directly with a lot of these models, right? At the end of the day, as I said, Haptik is not actually creating these models. We're working with OpenAI and a lot of the open source technologies, as I mentioned, right? So why do you really need a brand like Haptik coming into the picture? I think these are the three main reasons. One is that brands today are not really comfortable with Gen AI just coming in and talking directly to their consumers, because there is no control, right? You ask it the same query today, and 10 minutes later, probably the answer will be different in each case. And brands are not comfortable with that. They still want to control the narrative, the tonality, etc., which is where you need players like us that can come and actually create those journeys for you, design them, and create that custom layer on top that takes your brand's voice and your specific requirements and nuances into account. The second place, of course, is constitution, right? So how is it exactly designed? How do you leave out biases? Hallucination is a big problem in its own right, which I think, just given the experience we have had working with these models, we feel very confident now about figuring our way around, which I don't think is knowledge that brands could easily just crack, which is why I think coming to a player like us that's been in this space is very important. And of course, the most popular question that I don't know how many times in a day we get it, is the data privacy, right? As I said, the first layer and the starting point to any Gen AI solution is basically brands sharing their own proprietary customer data, or even if not customer, but data that's very specific to them and their brands, even if it is their SOPs, their transaction data, their customer data, their app level data. So when it comes to data privacy, etc., we have been an enterprise SaaS company for almost 10 years now. So we have a lot of checks and balances in place, a lot of certifications to just ensure that customers' PII data is handled the way it should be, and then there is no risk to the brand in this regard. So yeah, with that, thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions, I don't think we have time remaining for questions, but we are outside here for the next 2 days. So please come by for demos, or if you have any question, we'll be very happy to take them. Thank you.